Under item 1, we have under consent agenda, we have a Rotary proclamation. That is the only amendment that we have to the agenda. At that being said, I need approval of the agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Have a move and a second on the approval. Any further discussion? None being, all that in favor, let know by saying aye.
Aye.
None opposed, thank you. That has been approved. All right, at this time, under item 5, Miss Becky Denny always does the employee recognition. The program she had started here about a few years ago. So, Miss Becky, I'm going to turn the program over to you.
Thank you. My favorite part of the evening. And we have one with us tonight, but a very important one, Mr. Darren Satterfield, the tax commissioner. And he is now officially the tax commissioner. Congratulations.
Congratulations, Darren. Things
have changed going from your role as working there and becoming the tax commissioner?
A whole lot.
A whole lot.
I mean, even though I've been here 10 years, I was telling Bart, it feels like I've just started all over again. Taking on that role, a lot to learn, but excited and a lot of good support.
Wonderful.
So if I have 10, 20 more.
Well, can we get a picture with you?
Yeah,
Let's just step over here.
I love it there. I guess so. Thank you, Darren.
Thanks.
Thank you.
All right. At this time, I'm going to turn it over to Ms. Harvey for the financial report, please.
Okay, so the financial report for, this is the financial report for the month ending January 31st. And that's the first month of our 2017 fiscal year. The total revenue that we collected through January 31 is $1,326,843, and that's 5.23% of the revenue budgeted. On the expenditures category, the general government, the expenditures total $135,055, and that's 3.65%. For judicial, the expenditures are $161,075, and that's 4.47%. For public safety, excuse me, the expenditures are $784,224, and that is 6.09%. For public works, the total expenditures are $150,622, and that's 5.29%. For the Health Department Senior Center and the MATS program, expenditures were $42,374, and that's 5.33%. Culture and Recreation, the expenditures are $55,002, and that's 5.91%. For Housing and Development, the total expenditures are $27,420, and that's 4.46%. So the total general fund expenditures for the first month were $1,355,772, and that's 5.35%. For the enterprise fund, the water department expenditures were $88,083, and that's 4.11% of their budget. And the airport expenditures were $15,245, and that's 3.85% of their budget. Obviously, there were more expenditures than are reflected on this report, but a lot of the things that we paid for in January actually were 2016 expenditures, and they were accrued back. So those will be reflected in the 2016 budget.
How are you looking, oh, I'm sorry,
Any questions?
how are you looking towards your audit? Can you get some update on the audit, the timeline we're looking at on it?
Yeah, the audit's coming along real well, our preparation for it. The auditors will be here February 27th. They will be at mostly at the courthouse and and maybe the sheriff's office to do the elected officials there in the agency offices. And then the week of March 20th, they will be here in our building to do the field work, the general field work.
All right.
I do have a request for a budget amendment for the 2017 budget. I know it's very early, but do you see that handout? The first one is just a revenue and expenditure equalization for the probate judge. His weapons permit revenue line, he wants to increase that by $9,000 and then increase his expenditure line for the technical services. That's the company that actually prints the ID cards, the weapons permit cards. In the past, they have been paying that invoice directly out of the revenue, and it's reduced the revenue that comes here to the general fund. So he's going to show it. It will be shown more appropriately if we show the revenue and then I actually show the expenditure that goes back out. So that's just a wash, a revenue and an expenditure.
And it's just $9,000?
It's $9,000 for the year, yes. The other one is concerns the Price Creek Road Bridge project. And it's an increase in revenue of $125,000. That's actually revenue that we received last year from DOT, but we moved it into 2017 year because that's the year the project is going to be worked on. It was an ongoing project, but it was just in the bidding phase and we didn't have a contract or anything. So it wasn't, the expenditure side wasn't included in his budget last year.
Is the funds also in that budget on that particular bridge, though, was not only DOT, but didn't we have some federal money in that also?
For the other smaller project, I think it's $27,000, it was FEMA money, I believe. But the majority of it was
DOT.
the $125,000 of DOT, yes. So the total contract for that bridge is $295,659. So the road department needs an increase in their capital outlay budget line for that project. So that will decrease our contingency budget by $170,000 by the difference in the cost of the project and the revenue. And our contingency line this year is $611,971. So that will it will decrease to $441,312.
Any questions on that?
Were we not aware of this when we did the budget to put it on?
Well, we knew that there was a project, but it was just we didn't have an idea of what the cost was going to be, so it wasn't included in
The issue we were having is it being such a small project, even though it was a bridge concept and it was federal DOT money, the problem we had, couldn't get anybody to bid on it.
Oh, okay.
And so it rocked us off another 9 months trying to get somebody up here just to even bid on the project. Nobody wanted it because it's so small. Any other questions on that? I need to move in second to approve the budget.
the amendment. Yes, please.
So moved.
Second.
I'll move in second that we approve the budget. Any further questions? None being, all in favor, let know by saying aye.
Aye.
None being, thank you. That has been approved. All right, that brings us down to item number 7 on the consent agenda. We signed forms pertinent to the Criminal Justice Coordinating Council's approval for the application for funding and some grant award for the palm print machines for sex offender registration. The grant amount is $11,250 with no local match. This is the agreement here. That's for what we're having to do now with the state, and I'm assuming with the feds, with the palm print reading machine that we're having to do with the Sheriff's Department. And then item B under consent agenda, we signed the Rotary Has a Heart proclamation here. And if I may, it says, whereas Rotary International, founded February 23rd of 1905 in Chicago, Illinois, USA, is the world's first and one of the largest nonprofit service organizations. And whereas there are over 1.2 million Rotary Club members comprised of professional, business, and community leaders in over 34,823 clubs in 206 countries and geographical areas. And whereas the Rotary motto, service above self, inspires members to provide humanitarian service, encourage high ethical standards, and promote goodwill and peace in the world. And whereas local clubs are encouraged to participate in a community service project centered around Rotary International's 6 areas of service: basic education and literacy, economic and community development, disease prevention and treatment, peace and conflict prevention resolution, water and sanitation, maternal and child health. And whereas Rotary is committed to adopting projects to help do good in the world. And our Rotary Club name is one of the approximately 1,600 clubs throughout 8 states and the District of Columbia in the United States and 20 countries of the Caribbean, and more than 67,500 members sponsoring a project in the first quarter of the year 2017, finding Valentine's Day 2017 directly in the middle of this time to satisfy a need in the community, thus doing good in the world. Therefore, I, Robert Jones, County Commissioner Chairman of Pickens County, do hereby proclaim February the 14th, 2017 as Rotary Has Heart Day in Pickens County, and encourage all citizens to join me in Rotary International and the Rotary Club of Jasper in making sure this project is giving proper recognition. Thank you very much. All right. And that, Ms. Deborah, we're going to item 8. Do we have anything in old business?
No.
All right, that brings us down to item number 9 under new business. Do we have any new business?
No.
All right. Brings us down to item number 10 under action items. We're looking at section A, approval of minutes. We had a regular board meeting on January 19th, 2017. Everybody got a copy of those particular minutes. Any changes, additions to those minutes?
No.
All right, I need to move a second to approve.
Second.
Have a move and second to approve the regular board meeting on January 19, 2017. Any further discussion? None being, all in favor, let know by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, thank you. And then on February the 2nd, 2017, we had a work session. Any additions or deletions to those particular minutes? All right, I need a move and second to approve those work session meetings.
Second.
Have a move and a second to approve the February 2nd, 2017 work session. Any further discussion? None being, all in favor, let know by saying aye.
Aye.
None opposed, thank you. That has been done. All right, that brings us down to item B under a rezone request. Make sure I get it right here. Okay, we have on item number 1, rezone RZ-11-16-1213 Toby R. Miller, 3293 Refuge Road, Jasper, from rural residential to highway business, 1.08 acres, and suburban residential 1.01 acres, parcel 053DO45. Based on the consistency and the comprehensive plan and capability and adjacent uses and districts, Planning and Development staff recommends approval. On February 13th, Planning Commission voted unanimously to recommend approval. Staff requests that this item be placed on the February 16th Board of Commissioners meeting. Any questions? Are y'all familiar with the area? Yes.
Just a quick note, Mr. Jones, I apologize about the misinformation. If the item of note stated rural residential to highway business and suburban residential, that was incorrect. The request from the applicant, which was recommended for approval unanimously by Planning Commission, was to rezone the property of 2 acres for neighborhood commercial NC and suburban residential SR, so that the existing commercial business, which has been in operation since before the 2005 land use map and chapter in the Code of Ordinances went into effect, that 1 acre portion would become NC district, and then the existing house on the property would become suburban residential, that 1 acre portion.
Well, I've got this here. It says, if approved, the intent is to enable Mr. Miller to split the 2.1 acre parcels into 2 parcels and rezone each parcel in order for the property to be consistent with his last will and testament. Mr. Miller would like tract 1 consisting of approximately 1.1 acres with currently, pardon?
I believe it does say neighborhood.
It does. 1.1 acres with currently operating business, predates 2005 land use chapter and map. To be rezoned neighborhood commercial NC, tract 2 consists of approximately 1 acre of a residence to be rezoned to suburban residential. That's what you're referring to, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
All right. I need a recommendation to go ahead and accept that rezone for Mr. Miller's property.
Second.
Have a moving second. Any further discussion? None being, all that in favor, let know by saying aye.
Aye.
None opposed, thank you. Then that brings us down to the next one. We have a rezone request, an RZ-12-16 by 1214, Rock Creek Manor Properties Incorporated, Cagle Mill Road South, Jasper, industrial to highway business, 4.37 acres, parcel 065-072. If approved, the intent is to purchase the property for the purpose of constructing a 12-unit senior living apartment building as an expansion of the existing senior residential development Rock Creek Manor on adjacent land. Based on consistency with the comprehensive plan and the capability with adjacent uses and districts, Planning and Development staff recommends approval. On February 13th, Planning Commission voted unanimously to recommend approval. Staff requested this item be placed on the February 16th ballot of the Board of Commissioners. Anything you need to say on that, Richard?
No, sir.
Okay. What that is, I'm assuming you're just trying to expand Rock Creek Manor parcel for the development of more senior living or...
Senior apartments.
All right. All right, we have Board of that place. Commission voted unanimously to recommend the approval. What is your pleasure?
Move to accept that recommendation.
Second.
Have a move and a second. Any further discussion? None being, all that in favor, let know by saying aye.
Aye.
None opposed, thank you. That has been approved. All right, we got under item number C, we have Fox Environmental Annual Water Quality Monitoring Contract. Richard, you want to speak to that?
Thank you, Mr. Jones. This item is related to our annual state required monitoring and reporting for water quality. We have a watershed protection plan that is based on an agreement with state EPD. In 2015 and in years previous, this work was completed by Advanced Environmental, and at that time only for 1 site, costing over $14,000 a year. In 2016, Fox Environmental conducted this monitoring and reporting for us, and through negotiations with EPD, although we expanded to include 4 sites, the monitoring was agreed upon as being less intensive based on the fact that we are not a required MS4 stormwater community. We're more rural than many communities, and based on the negotiations and a good price, in 2016, Fox Environmental conducted this work for us for $9,900. In its first year, Fox Environmental found that there were more hours needed to perform the work at 4 sites. However, Fox Environmental honored its contract and did not charge us any more. This year, however, for 2017, Fox Environmental has stated in order to provide an accurate work proposal for the 4 sites, the contract proposal would be 17% higher at $11,575. However, this amount is still well under the over $14,000 a year that we had been paying in 2015 and in previous years. As county staff, I found Fox Environmental to be responsive and professional. Catherine Fox is here representing the company. And Fox Environmental is agreeable to changes noted by our county attorney related to potential termination of contract and ownership of documents. Therefore, the Board of Commissioners would need to approve the contract subject to revisions per Mr. Landrum.
Bill, you got anything to say to that?
That's the official one I talked about. It basically goes into the ownership of the documents and the ability of us, of our ability to give these documents to the public. And then termination services, instead of getting into the weeds on it, we just say it's terminated by either side at any time. So if we fail to pay them, they can terminate it if they want to, not waive the right to receive payment for the services. If we're dissatisfied with what they're doing, we can terminate it.
Ms. Fox, are you aware of the changes in the
No
contract?
problem.
They got
I worked for about 40 different cities and counties, and people adjust.
I think we had emailed about it before, and I just think it didn't make it into the final version. Because
Okay.
a lot of it we did talk about.
Would it be appropriate for me to request that the commissioners, we do a move and second for me to sign this document once the details are done,
Just as presented,
as presented?
because he's presented it with those deletions. And then they can get started.
All right, I need a move and second for me to go ahead and approve this.
Second.
Have a move and second. Any further discussion? None being, all that in favor, let know by saying aye. Aye. None opposed, thank you. That has been approved. Thank you for being here. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, I just want to say thank you very much, and we did monitor last year, and do you know that your streams are very clean? I wanted you to know that, because I monitored all around, and yours are among the best right now. So
Thank you
good
very
job.
much. And that brings us down to item number D, employee handbook updates. And I'm going to turn it over to Ms. Paula Peace, our Human Resource Director.
Okay, we're looking at section 8, doing a few updates on the handbook pertaining to sick leave. As the current policy reads, an employee is to be out 3 days before they have to bring in a doctor's excuse or a certificate from a physician. And we're proposing to add that last line there that's highlighting that would give the supervisor, it wouldn't restrict them from asking for a doctor's excuse no matter if it's 1 day or whatever, if the need arises. And also to section 8, there's a couple of lines here about holiday pay, and it's actually was in a previous handbook and got left out on the last update. These two paragraphs here about the being on Saturday or Sunday or working the day before or the day after. And adding to section 4, the definition of non-exempt employee and an exempt employee, and giving some guidelines on if comp time is used according to the FLSA. And then one more update to section 8, page 26 of the handbook, removing the deferred compensation plan 457, since we changed our retirement plan back in the beginning of 2016. It's no longer needed there.
This is items that we discussed at the work session
Correct.
previously. And I'm sure Mr. Landon and our labor attorneys down the line have looked over the changes to that one since we've already had these discussions.
Yes, Mr. Landon actually gave me the advice of what to put in the certificate about position.
Y'all have any questions?
Well, I was just curious about, on the sick leave, do we, at the end of the year, if they have not used everything, do we pay for that, or how is that handled?
They can carry over so many hours, but then the
I
rest
believe
of
it's 480 hours. But it's not, it actually states in here that when you leave employment, sick leave is not paid out.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
How do we accept these recommendations?
All right, we have moved to accept.
Second.
I've moved in a second. Any further discussion? None being, all in favor, let know by saying aye. None opposed, thank you. Paula, that has been accepted on your changes. Thank you very much for the work that you and Phil had done on that. Well, it brings us down to item E, text amendment, the readoption of Chapter 6 alcoholic beverages. Are we looking at that for tonight or after the meeting's over? What you got, Richard, on this one?
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Jones. So this item has been, the information has been sent to the county attorney for review, and the Beer and Wine Board has unanimously recommended approval to readopt Chapter 6 of the Code of Ordinances related to alcoholic beverages. Since mid-2015, when this chapter was readopted by the board, staff has just noted a few items of rearranging the chapter so that if staff, elected officials, Joe Smith, whoever goes to look at the chapter, that they can, from start to finish, review how to apply for a license, how to report on certain things, whether on a monthly or a quarterly basis, and then what would happen if they become in violation of certain parts of our alcohol chapter. In working with our staff member, Linda Casey, we've got a really good working relationship now with the Beer and Wine Board, and so the current chapter is 10 pages. The proposed readoption is 10 pages for the chapter. So it's not that there's a whole lot of language added. It's that some of it is just clarified and some of it is rearranged. One thing in particular that we did broaden out a little bit is right now there's not explicit language that Joe Smith or any potential alcohol license holder could review in our Code of Ordinances stating how to do monthly reporting, how to do quarterly reporting. So we just added a little more language about that and, again, just rearranged some things. So again, the Beer and Wine Board unanimously recommended approval.
Richard, do we have forms that they print off to do their reporting, or what does that look like?
We do, yes ma'am. Right now we've got about 20 license holders, and we do work with them to provide them with the forms and make sure that there's no halfway. Just by paying money does not get you to the finish line. We've got to have a complete reporting form based on what we give them, yes.
Do we get those in a timely manner? I'm just curious.
We do, and if we don't, then we get with them very quickly to make sure that either they're fined or their license is suspended or, worst case scenario, revoked. Otherwise, they get in line quickly. We have had one or two that after having $1,000 fine, they straighten up very quickly. Right? Yes, ma'am.
Are the copies that they sent come electronically? Can they do it on the computer, or they do have to do a hard copy and then turn it in?
If they want to, folks can email the form in to us and then mail the check, right? So they don't have to in person come see us about the monthly and quarterly reporting.
All right. Any other questions? I need a move in a second, please, I don't think we want to adopt, but we'll make the changes, and they're not really changes, clarifications, I guess. Okay. Then I need a move in a second to readopt.
Second.
Have a move in a second to readopt. Any further discussion? None being, all that in favor, let know by saying aye.
Aye.
And opposed, thank you. It has been adopted. All right, we also have another one here. We have a text amendment on item adoption of Chapter 67 Land Use Intensity Districts and Map. Richard, you're back into your court.
Thank you, Mr. Jones. This is a little early, and so I will request that the board take no action, but I will note for the public that as staff, we're working with our mapping company, Tri-State, to put together the readoption of the official land use map, and at the same time, based on planning and zoning legal training sessions, it has been noted that on an occasional basis, either once a year or once every few years, at the same time of readopting the map, the chapter related to zoning, or in our case land use, be readopted. There are going to be no significant changes requested upon readoption of the text of Chapter 6. Just note that, and note that, the new parcel typically takes the same zoning as the parent parcel. So it's just an update, but Planning Commission will review that Monday, March 13th. We will have a public notice run in the February 23rd newspaper. And so after the March 13th Planning Commission meeting, we'll see what they say. And then at a later date, we'll bring it for your attention.
All right, so you're asking us to table this until further notice.
Thank you.
All right, I need to move in a second to table this till further notice.
So moved.
Second.
Have a move in a second to table. Any further discussion? None being, all that in favor, let know by saying aye.
Aye.
None opposed? Thank you. Richard, the young lady sitting next to you, would you please introduce her? I think these other two have had the pleasure.
Yes, thank you. Sarah Rooker is a Pickens County native, and we're very proud of the fact that she is a graduate student about to obtain her master's in public administration from Georgia State, where she has gotten some great experience with us at the county so far. She already has worked at several places, and so I'm sure whoever grabs her as a full-time boss will be happy with her. So again, Sarah Rooker, we're glad to have her.
Thank you for being here, Sarah. Thank you. And that brings us down to item number 11, guests and comments. I'd like to make a comment before we get started. Pickens Animal Shelter wanted me to read this. Pickens County Animal Shelter would like to thank and recognize the following organizations and individuals for the generous and continued support of our local shelter and homeless pets. We would like to recognize our local Walmart for the weekly donation of dog and cat food, which saves us a tremendous amount of money over the year's time. And Dr. Chester and the Animal Medical Clinic for offering their services at a significant discount. Forsyth Humane Society and the Cherokee Humane Society for helping us place our animals. Sharon Callan with Paws Be Good Incorporated for accessing our dogs free of charge. Partners of Pickens Pets for the fund drives and civic donations that benefit solely Pickens County Animal Shelter. A special thank to you, to all the individuals that donate food and supplies, and to all of our volunteers that donate their time helping at the shelter and fostering our animals. And they want me to make this announcement. The Spring Rabies Clinic will be held on March 11th, 2017 from 10 a.m. until 2 p.m. And Bark in the Park will be held at Lee Newton Park on April 8th, 2017 from 10 a.m. until 3 p.m. And all proceeds will benefit the animal shelter. Also, if I may, partners of Pickens Pets Incorporated, the enclosed donation for the purchase and installation of a gazebo for the Pickens County Animal Shelter is made on behalf of my sister, Nancy Evelyn Davis. It was her wish to honor all of the rescued cats that have been her companions of all of her life. In speaking with Judy Moody about the need for the shelter, she reminded me of Nancy's talk on how nice it would be to have a gazebo to provide shade for the visitors and volunteers. Please keep me informed of the progress and plans dedicated. I will provide a plaque in Nancy's name. And also, this is from Keep Pickens Beautiful. Dear Commissioner Jones, on behalf of the Board of Directors for Keep Pickens Beautiful, I'd like to thank you for your continued support of our organization. The 2016 American Cleanup went well again this year. I am still amazed at the number of scrap tires we continue to collect during our tire amnesty. According to Tony Peace, the recycling centers collected 1,351 tires this year. As we are making our plans for the GAC this year, I trust we can count on having a tire amnesty again this year. Keep Pickens Beautiful will continue our programs in education, beautification, recycling, Adopt a Road, the Green Ribbon Award, Earth Day activities, Bring One for the Chipper, Christmas tree recycling, and dumping cleanups. Thank you again for your support with our efforts to keep Pickens clean and beautiful. Best regards, Carol Oppenhoff, President of Keep Pickens Beautiful. Now at this time, I'm going to open up to any questions or comments from the crowd. Yes, Roy.
I've got a quick question for our Rock Creek Manor people. Now that you've got 4 more acres for your establishment, will you change your advertisement to 10 acres in Pickens County instead of Cherokee County? In your advertisement, you advertise you're located on 6 acres in North Cherokee County.
They do.
They do, okay. Well, now you know.
Oh, man. Okay, Bart, go ahead. You know you want to.
Oh, yes, naturally. This doesn't even deal with you, I'm gonna ask, Richard, on the annual water quality report, and I know you said we have clean water, is that report available to the public when it's done? You know, is it in your office, or?
Yes, sir, I'll be glad to send you an electronic copy of it.
Okay, and well, the second question, this might be deal with you, with Faye. Was that money for 2017, was that already in the budget? The $11,000, was that in the budget for? All right, and you mentioned Keep Pickens Beautiful. I might as well mention April 15th is tax day, but it's also a day that Keep Pickens Beautiful will have a shredder here in town, right behind the Keep Pickens Beautiful office. If you bring a banker's box, it's a little box that's, I think it's $4, but we'll be there if you want to get rid of all your tax records. April 15th, you file your taxes, bring all the junk you don't want, we'll shred it for you right there on site.
I can't speak for our individuals here that are representing the communication industry, but if you would probably put something in writing. Aren't you the president of Keep? No, Carol Oppenheimer.
Carol's president, I'm just.
Why don't you send that advertisement to our local establishments that put out communications where you can get it publicized?
We will. It's in the works, but the more publicity, the better.
All right. Any other questions or comments?
Yeah,
Yeah, Jeff.
so concerning the solid waste storage outside of commercial developments, we've had some changes proposed by our county attorney. And we'd like to make sure that we're expediting and closely monitoring the progress of that proposed ordinance through the, through the approval process. I think things have stalled a little bit here. And I think some, close monitoring of what the professional staff, and I want to say clearly that I'm not fussing at the professional staff. They've done a good job, especially of keeping us informed through emails and the like as to what's going on. But we have raised some concerns, and we weren't able to act on those concerns. Phil needed the night off at the
Last Monday night meeting.
Yeah, right, last Monday night's meeting. So we weren't able to act on those, but we really do need to formalize that thing up and get it done as soon as possible.
We're looking at that, and keep in mind that those individuals, both of those letters that come out that Richard put together and that Phil are drafts.
Yeah,
They are working projects, so nothing has been voted on, nothing has been changed.
Agreed with that. But just if we could closely monitor that and attempt to accelerate it, that'd be good.
Do our best. Any other comments or questions before we're dismissed? Ladies and gentlemen, y'all have a great weekend. Thank you for being here, and be safe. Thank you.